So we're going to see one more factor. We saw about the water, the prosperity of water. Yeah. To the prosperity, look at the beauty of development. Eri is a world heritage. Every grammar is a world heritage. Eri. The beauty of it, wonderful, basically wonderful. We have the heritage of the world as Eri. So, how many water bodies did we all have? Our fathers, ancestors, grandmothers, over the last millennia, many millennia. You know, so the enumeration actually done by the British. We have 9,60,000 water bodies in this land of Bharat. How many? Enumerated by PW department, CPW earlier. Now, how many living habitations in this land? There is 9 lakh water bodies. That means what? We gave importance to water bodies than a
One point I want to ask you all a question here. When we talk about ancient civilizations, what is a feature that characterizes ancient civilizations? What do we say about ancient civilizations? The Persian civilization or the Egyptians? What do we say? Where? Yes? He said we have got 1/6 of the world. What kind of land do we have? Irrigated land, right? And what is the difference between irrigated land and rain-fed land? What is the difference? What does the word irrigated bring to your mind now? After previous session? Man-made. So the moment you see irrigated, henceforth it should come to your mind that it is man's effort to bring water to the land. Now, we have had the largest amount of irrigated projects. We have had 9,60,000 water bodies, which means they are all water systems, irrigation systems. And we have 1/6 of the world's irrigated land even today. Even if you look at it, present statistics also shows you that we are the second in the world. China is one and we are now today second. So what does it mean to us now? This is a civilization which did not flourish on river banks alone.
We had the skill to bring water to where we wanted to. So you go live where water is different, you have skill to bring water. That means you have effort for it. You have the hydraulic civil engineering skills with you to do it. That's the beauty of this. And it across. Now I'm going to ask a question. Suppose you go to another country. How do you know you got to another country? You need a passport, you need a visa, you need an entry point, checkpoint, everything. Right? That's how you know you entered in another country. You have checkpoint. When you go from Germany to some other country, so you have got a Lake Constance there, everything, you know, you have checkpoint one. How did in the year 1032 when Al-Biruni came with Muhammad of Ghazni, how did he know that he had come from the Farsi civilization to the Bharata civilization? How did he know he had entered Bharata Varsha? How did he know from his land is his own land is Farsi, Persian. He's a Persian chronicler. He came here. How did he think? How did he know that he had changed from one civilization to another civilization?
See, we saw that the Persians called us Hind because they could identify that people of this civilization are somewhat different from their civilization. They are doing something differently and their land is somewhat different. So what differentiated this Hind for the Persian Al-Biruni? How did he know he has come to Hind?
How did he know? Because one village to other village coming, how did he know he see the difference? Because there's no toll gate, no post to them.
It didn't say Hind, India this way.
There's no toll gate, there's no post, name board. The moment he knew that every village, every town had a water body attached to it, he had entered Hind from Farsi. So you are known by the water bodies that are attached to every habitation. Look at that. See, it's a mindset. That's what you could see the difference in thought. That's what he writes in the book.
in every place to which some particular holiness is ascribed, the Hindus construct ponds intended for the ablutions. In this they have attained a very high degree of art, so that our people, Arabs, when they see them, wonder at them and are unable to describe them, much less to construct anything like them. So here when he talks about, he's saying the people of this Hind land, they are constructing water bodies everywhere, they are revering these water bodies, they consider these water bodies very, very important. And look at the other thing he's saying, we don't know how to do them. He's saying we are unable to describe them, much less to construct them. So which means, what is unique here? This Ek Bharatam, Unnatha Bharatam, see here itself I'm saying Ek Bharatam. I've mixed both of them, that's how intertwined they are. So, Ore Bharatam, the Unnatha Bharatam, what is that uniqueness? Irrigation, water bodies, building water bodies. We saw how saving is an innate characteristic that binds people of the entire Bharat land. Building these water bodies and irrigating is an aspect which has been binding this people of this civilization, so much so that this very, very erudite scholar like Al-Biruni, he is highlighting this point.
Who wrote the Kitabul? Now, we saw that almost 700, 800 years after Al-Biruni observed this in the northwest part of Bharat, what did Major Sankhe observe in Mysore province? That Indians are so good in building water bodies, we Europeans are not even able to replicate it or even maintain it properly. It's too detailed in aggregate, too small detail and so large aggregate. That's what he says. Major, because Sankhe Road in Bangalore, saw that connect. Now, when you have so much prosperity, what do? You do industry. You do Todil, as you say in Tamil. What were all the industry that India was so strong, popular to get 1/3 of the world GDP for 1700 years. Today, countries talk about GDP for 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, 20 years. We had #1 world GDP for 1700 years unchanged.
You just saw in the previous section,
Angus
right?
Madison, OECD report.
Now, we also saw two things, which is what we are going to substantiate in the present session, current session. One, we saw Angus Madison talking about so much of GDP and prosperity, that we have been leaders in wealth and GDP for more than, for close to 2 millennia. We also saw that Vasco da Gama is talking about huge ships. Normally when we talk about trade, what do you associate trade of Bharatam with? What have you heard? Bharatam is good in trade of spices. We knew you all will say spices. For trading in spices, do you need ships 10 times the size of what Vasco da Gama saw in Cape of Good Hope?
Obviously, not needed.
Do you need? So that means we were trading in something very, very heavy and huge. Point 1. And it also says when Vasco da Gama is seeing such huge ships at Cape of Good Hope in South Africa, it speaks that much about our navigation skills, our shipbuilding skills. See, when you talk about shipbuilding, it reflects, when you say somebody is good in navigation, it means so many things. One, they are capable, they know so much of science, physics, geometry, everything, maths and hydraulics, all of that, all those subjects, to be able to build such good seaworthy ships. It's easy to build small boats, but seaworthy ships, you need all those skills. And then you need...
I'd actually been to Kozhikode and some other place where they build the huge dhows, still they build massive big ones. I asked them this question in the little bit of Malayalam local I knew. I asked them, how many years will these ships last that you are building now? Because the so-called European ships of those days have life of 50, oak trees although below, they are 50, 70 years life, maximum. And these are made in Indian wood. Obviously, he said, oh, it will be for 100 years and more. It doesn't come for repair for a long time, may not be in lifetime. It's a very casual remark. That means what? We not only could make ocean-going ships of that size, we had the longevity of ships in number of years that we could give. So two things. Otherwise, a ship will break in 5 years, you again remake ships. So you can make thousands and thousands of ships.
So that is one part. That is good shipbuilding skills. Then you need good navigation skills. Okay. Now I am going to ask you one question. Today, if I were to ask you, you please go to Africa, which is the best time you will choose to start sailing? When do you think you will attain maximum progress in your navigation, in your sailing? I'm talking about the time of the day, not the season or the year. When will you set sail? When do you think mariners can sail best? Night?
Very good.
Very good.
Why?
Who said that?
Who said that? Very good answer.
Why do
Good.
you say
Why?
that? Exactly.
All stars.
All stars. How do ships, what guides them when you're out in the open sea? How do you know whether it's north or south? Yesterday in the planetarium they showed you the Great Bear, they showed you which is the pole star and all of that, right?
Different stars.
So
Southern Cross.
in daytime when there are no stars, there is just sea all side, on all the sides, water on all the sides. How do you know, are you heading in the north or south? Are you going, even Christopher Columbus could not have known whether he is going westwards or eastwards in search of India. So you need the stars. And look at the telltale signs of us having navigated with stars in two extreme ends of Bharatam. I'll just show you some lovely...
Before that, what do you call stars in Indian language? Nakshatram. What do you call a map? Naksha. Naksha. Because it's a map to the sky. It's a sky map for you, fully. You just go through.
See, look at this. This is in present day Pakistan. Okay? Very close to Karachi here, on the coast, there is a place called Manora, on the beach. Okay? And what is this place famous for? What is this place famous for? Varuna temple. So Varuna is the divinity for
Waters,
the
navigation.
sea.
What's the Indian Navy motto? Shanno Varunaha.
Shanno Varunaha.
So, where is this Varuna temple? In the full arc of, right from East Africa to Indian subcontinent, at the top central piece where the Varuna temple. West of Karachi. 40 kilometers west of Karachi in Sindh. So it was at the prime position, it was where the Varuna temple governing the full navigational arc of the full Arabian Sea.
So
Unfortunately, it's there now, it's very badly kept, very unfortunate. That's the key Varuna temple for the whole civilization we had.
We hardly have any Varuna temples anywhere else. Now that is in the northwest. Look at this temple. Where is this? Odisha, right? What is this temple? It's a Shakti Peeth as well. It's a Tara Tarini temple. And look at it, where it is. It is by the river, and a river which is described as the elder sister of Ganga. So that means this river is older than Ganga, and this river actually opens out into the Bay of Bengal. And this Tara Tarini temple is just very close to that estuary. So that means the people of Odisha who used to, so trade does not just happen. See, today you're talking about large ports, Visakhapatnam, Cochin, this and that, and you're talking about trucks taking or trains going to the ports and taking offloading and unloading the goods. But in olden days, how did they get the goods to the ports? How did they get the goods to the harbors and the ports? Through the rivers, inland rivers. You need inland rivers. Inland waterways are a necessity for you to get the goods from wherever it is being produced, take it to the harbors, and from there they would take it to various countries.
People of commerce would have heard about interport trade. It was between land and sea. And where did all this go? From here it went to Bali Jatra. From Mahanadi, okay? So look at, so the connect from here to the Suvarna Bhumi that we saw, Suvarna Bhumi in Southeast Asia. That's part of Bharata Khanda. It's not part of Bharata Vasha, Bharata Khanda. So that is but a huge they connect over, which we'll see as we go along later.
And these waterways that we saw here, they not only brought you water, but they also helped you with inland trade.
So we'll now see what are the products it because it's got exactly about 60 minutes. We'll quickly cover. There's a whole host of points. We'll quickly go to that to cover what are the points that we.
I just want to show the Bodhidharma route. Okay.
So we're going to look at now. See, if you go to Africa, they advertise Big Five. They say for them Big Five means a Big Five game. Whereas India, we had a Big Five in trade, which gave us all the prosperity to be one third of the world trade, but unfortunately we ourselves don't know much of it, so we'll talk about it for the next few minutes. Okay? What is the Big Five that we traded in? Iron and steel, zinc, cotton, indigo, sugar and spice. We're going to see this five for the next 20-30 minutes. You're going to see this, each one in detail, a little bit, not very much detail, because each one can go for hours. We're going to look at only details that's sufficient for us to see. Okay? So, iron and steel, if you see, let's see here. See, if you look at iron and steel, this is a product that we have been making in this land, Bharatam, and also in Tamil Nadu for a long, long time. For millennia we make it. And what's the world famous steel called? Wood steel. But actually in Tamil it's called uruk, smelting uruk. Because the European tongue could not say uruk, they call it woods. It's an Anglican term. They call it woods. That's what they call it. But and Kannada Telugu is uk. That's what we are making the steel and making it. Look at the. Let's see over the next few minutes. And this is what is wood steel? It's a high carbon steel made by a process. All the details are there in the book, and it's made in a very slow process. And one of the earliest places where you get the sample in India is near Erode, in a place, Kodumanal. So that's where you get one of the earliest samples where you got on the banks of the Noyal River. You get the sample. So Bharatam, Tamil Nadu is making the steel for millennia together. And here this is where you have this all the crucibles. Some of the photos there. Just and similarly, you've been making this in different other parts of the world. Look at the sword here.
This is the sword.
So people tell, we have proof. Look at the sword here. This is what 2000 BCE. 4,000 years ago. Look at the wall. We speak of Andawal, Indawal, and we heard in poetry. Here's actual. That's in literature. The actual sample of our wall here. Look at the wonderful. So, like this, we have all over. Here we are taking a sample that we have here. This is the place.
This is Mailadampai, near Madurai.
So, Adamari, we have in many places, we have so many samples. And look at this. For you need to make the furnaces for it. Look at this. You have it in Sri Lanka too, facing the southern coast. You have it here too, many places. All the details are available. So, basically, and when Alexander came to India to sin Hephaestus Hydaspes, and was defeated by Raja Pururava and sent back a defeated king, what did he ask and take back from India? Not diamonds, gold or silver. What he asked and took back was 100 tola of steel. That is talents of steel, like how we have tola measured, no? And he took back, this is who is saying this? Quintus Curtius of Persia is saying this. Catasis and Quintus, they're writing about this. He took back steel. That's what he took back. And the Greeks, when they write about Marco Polo and others, they speak about Hundwani. They speak about Indian steel. Ondani. Look at that. So clearly steel is a standout product of ours. And Marco Polo, obviously, we have seen earlier, it's in the earlier session when he came here. And to the time of 1600, 400 years back, we were thousands of ingots of steel from here to from Coromandel coast to Persia and others. What do you use steel for? In other parts of the world? Weaponry. Weaponry. First you need to have weaponry. So we were supplying weapons to the world. And in the book Herodotus, in the book Historia, he writes very clearly the battle fought in Macedonia and Greece were using Indian steel. So Indian steel was used 2500 years back as our steel. That all the battles had it. And look at this. The famous Salahuddin in his sword. What does he use? Indian steel. And what is it? He calls it Damascus sword. That's Indian steel. Damascus sword. I'm sure many of you. Please check out We can only give you headline details which you will check up later from our website and elsewhere too. So it's available there. Now, when the Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj army, when they were going and fighting and cutting somebody, what would they say? Har Har Mahadev. Or somebody like that. You know, each army had a war cry and they used to go fight. Right? How did the Persians go and chop off somebody when they are in a battle? You know, they said Jawab-e-Hind. Meaning, I give you a jawab of a sword made from Hind. My reply to you is Jawab-e-Hind. That means what? Where does the sword come from? Hind. Look at that. So I cut you with that. Look at the, it may just look like a saying to you, but it tells you a whole history from this. And if India is supplying so much swords to the world, what were we? We were the arms supplier to the world. Today we are made in India wonderful, which we were already millennia back, centuries back. And we've got iron pillars all over. You speak of the Delhi iron pillar or the Kolluru pillar. We'll just take two examples for one time. The Delhi iron pillar, all of us are well known. I'm sure most of you have seen this. So the Kolluru iron pillar is there near Mukambika. It's twice the height of the Delhi iron pillar. And it's slender. And what is there? It's one of the highest rainfall regions of Bharat. So it's all the same Sahyadri range, what we call Western Ghats now, near Agumbe, where you get maximum rainfall. So you are seeing this. That means what? It's withstood the moisture content rainfall for 2,500 years. It was made during the time then. So it's withstood. Now coming back.
Here is Damascus in Syria.
This is the Salahuddin sword.
In Mediterranean. And see, this is what was very unique about the Indian steel sword. They had these patterns on it, these wavy patterns, and these patterns looked as though ants had crawled all over them. And that is because of the fine, high carbon nature of this steel that you would have these patterns. And the way to make this high carbon steel in this manner was known only to the Indians, and these steel ingots used to be made here in Salem and Kodumanal and all those places.
All over the land.
They would get exported to Syria and Damascus. First they started exporting the sword, then slowly they would make the ingots, then the people in Damascus would make the sword. But what distinguished them was this pattern which was like ants had crawled over it.
Wavy pattern. Look at this. How many of you know that today's fashion jewellery, especially Dubai, or some of you have read in the papers, it's called D Damas.
Are you all familiar with the brand D Damas from Dubai?
It's because famous of wavy pattern. Why does the D Damas pattern have wavy pattern? Today's fashion jewellery, gold jewellery, because of the wavy pattern in our wood steel that we are exporting.
So the word Damas means wavy, watery design. That's why wavy jewels, the Arab designs are called Damas, the Damas brand. So Damascus, the port where these kind of swords were available, watery design swords. So that port became Damascus.
So where did this Damascus port supply into? The Mediterranean. So it opened the floodgates to whole of Europe. So Damascus became the center of steel. Near that there is other place, Haifa, which became the center for tin. Above that, the place called Byblos. All in the same East Mediterranean coast. That became famous for bibliography, bibliothèque, Bible, so for language. All on east coast of the Mediterranean coast. That became the transit point for us. Let's look at the next point. So, if you look at the Delhi iron pillar, most of you have read about it, goes back to 1600 years ago. It was moved to Delhi from Udaygiri, Ujjain. There's a story to it. It's written in our book. You can see they have also made a film on it. Look at this. It's got like an onion-like bulb at the bottom. It's not very deep. With torpedo-like poles that holds it. So it's not only a metallurgical marvel, it's also a marvel that it can hold such a big iron pillar easily at the base. And actually later they tried to blast it, still it didn't fall off. That means the base held to it. That's the beauty of this pillar. Look at this. Nadir Shah fired a cannon, still it didn't fall. So we knew engineering, how to, not only metallurgy, you how to hold it in place. That's what it is. So like this, you have all over. This is the Kolluru pillar that you have there. When Sri Adi Shankara visited them in 500, 600 BCE, that's 2500 years ago. From then, look at this thin, slender pillar, 6 months of monsoon rain for 2500 years, not rusted. But Delhi has only 2-3 months of rain, monsoon rain, 6 months of monsoon, and still not rusted. And double the antiquity. Like that, you have pillar all over. Konark, you have 230 plus.
So the point here again, now look at it. Entire Bharat is now, you can see a beautiful pattern everywhere. There is this lovely industry, there is this skill that you are able to see. So you are seeing there is abundance of water, pre-harvest is there, but also people are skilled enough in other industries that they have been able to do iron and steel depending on local resources. Likewise, you have zinc is another product.
Do you know think zinc they couldn't make in Europe at all? Till about 300 years ago, zinc was made only here in Bharatham. Because it was difficult to make.
What is the word for zinc? What is the word for zinc in Tamil?
See, zinc is a German word, mind you.
Tuttanagam, right?
Tuttanagam. What is it called in English? The official term in English. Zinc is a German term. It's called tati. Where did the word tati come from?
Tuttanagam. Tuttanagam from here south, Coromandel coast. It goes all the way to China. In China it becomes Totamu Totnag. Totamu Totnag. Now Europe, they didn't manage to learn this technique from India. So China somehow surreptitiously managed to take this technique and they called it Totamo Totnag. And the Europeans, they learned the technique from China, and as it goes through Persia, it acquires the name Tati. Therefore in English you call it Tati. And what is special about zinc? The idea of zinc is that it melts at a particular temperature and in an immediately very short window it vaporizes as well. So if you want to catch zinc metal, you have to catch it in that small window. And if you miss that, you don't get the metal, it becomes vapor.
That is why the others could not do it. What did we do? So we are saying we are Bharatiya, we are knowledgeable, intelligent, capable, science-wise skilled. So what did we do? We had a problem. Everybody had a problem. They could not capture zinc. So what did we do? We turned it upside down. We turned the problem itself upside down. Excellent, sir. Thank you.
So we turned the furnace such that you put the heat on the top. You had the iron ore in these kind of zinc ore in these retorts. You applied the heat on top so that when the zinc ore melts, there was a hole in this retort. And the melting zinc metal would drip through this into a chamber which was cooled, kept cool here.
Cool it on the bottom.
So it would get collected here and immediately you would catch the molten zinc.
So what is the lesson for us in this? If you have a problem, don't look at it only from one perspective, turn the problem around too. You make it a solution, isn't it? That's what we did actually. So that's what makes us all Bharatiya. So where's the largest zinc ore? Zawar, Rajasthan. That's where you have Rajasthan, the huge zinc ore. The slag itself is hills now, hill range of slags, and this is where all the retorts are there now. See how they made it? This is just drawing of it, which I took from the science. Go ahead, next. See, Zawar mines, this is all the slag. So mountains, because centuries and millennia of production. So this slag itself is in as hills, not hillocks, hills. Details available there. And this, where is this going? Rasa, Ratna, Samuchaya speaks of, our text speak about the process of making. You have practical example, you have a trade example, and you have literature example. All three connecting together, and you have got so much of ores of zinc that you are making here. So that's how you make zinc. And now let's come to cotton. If I tell you all of you wearing cotton dress, if I tell you it's India which gave cotton, would any of you believe it? What is this common? Everybody gives cotton. What is so great about cotton?
Which place do you think is most renowned for cotton? No, not India.
World over.
saying
Which is
world over.
what is it? So superior
Which
cotton.
do you think is the best cotton in the world?
Manchester spinning.
You are saying something else? Which one?
Egypt cotton.
Egypt, yes.
You are speaking of Egyptian
is what
cotton.
you are used to hearing, right? Cotton means Egyptian cotton. Correct? Let's look at some facts here.
India was almost the sole supplier of cotton for many millennia. You know why? It says, how do you say this on what facts do we say it? Cicero, the Roman senator, he says they are sending 20 million gold coins to India to bedeck the Roman women in Indian cotton dresses, and they were so fine that it did not cover their modesty. You had to use layers of cloth to cover the modesty of women. That is one. Next point. I'm going to, here is this. How many of you know subject of history? Yes, all of you know subject history. The word history that we have as subject today comes from this book called Historia, written by this person named Herodotus in about 400 BCE. And in one of the points in this book he writes, look at what he writes. In India, there are plants that produce sheep's wool. What does that mean? They did not know that a product called cotton existed. Of course, now the word cotton is a Greek word. Because it comes from a plant from in the Aegean Sea, from an island from the Aegean Sea. The film is there of us. Please watch it later. There are 24 films written only on cotton. Please watch it later at the convenience.
We'll be showing you one of them and we'll show you where you can find them.
So,
but here is Herodotus who is saying that in India, sheep's wool is growing on plants. So that is one thing that very clearly shows they are not familiar with a plant that is producing cotton. Now, to understand the point about Egyptian cotton, how far is Greece from Egypt? Did Egypt and
across
Greece
the Mediterranean, north south.
Not very far. And Egypt and Greece have had connections for many millennia.
Cleopatra. But still they didn't have cotton.
So in 400 BCE, if Herodotus is saying, I do not know about cotton, then would Egypt have had cotton in 400 BCE? Hardly a chance, because if they had it, Greece would have known about it. So it shows that Egypt also did not have cotton, Greece did not have cotton, they were using linen more than cotton. What is the difference between linen and cotton? Linen is more of a fiber that comes from a plant. It directly comes as straight away you have it as a fiber which you weave, whereas in cotton you have to extract the cotton into a yarn and then use it.
We discuss all this. It's there in a film. Let's not repeat what's in the film. But how that trade was. Many Aryan speaks about the prosperous Indo-Arab trade in cotton fabric. Everybody speaks about it. So we gave to see the wool that grew on plants is what they call it. And that's where the first time the name comes from this particular plant. And look at this. In Mehergarh, Baluchistan, which is part of Bharatavarsha, you find the cotton fibers very clearly. So that goes back millennia before the mention by Herodotus. So we are giving proof also very clearly about cotton, oldest, going back to 9,000 years ago we are giving proof of cotton in Bharatam. And you find cotton, Indian cotton in Jordan, in Petra. You find samples there. So we not only separated Greek, we separated Petra to everywhere just Indian cotton. Suppose this shroud that was last owned by Jesus Christ. Where is this shroud? This cloth, that shroud, the cloth, where is it from? Sindh. Sindon, the cloth system is called Sindon, that which comes from Sindh. Isn't it? So the world famous shroud, the holy relic, is called Sindon, that which comes from Sindh. So you have that everywhere. If you show you a short film now.
See, we have put up a number of films on cotton. If any film that you want to see of ours, All you have to do is just go to the BharathGyan website. There is a link here called Films. Click on this. You will come to playlist. And in this playlist, you will have them all organized. On metals, you will find here. There are close to, in metals, you will find about the iron and steel and zinc. In cotton, there are about 24 films on cotton. And it is from here that I am showing you this film. I'll pick it from here itself.
How cotton is the brand of Bharat? We have that.
So here, we are going to look at this film, which is very interesting. Can you increase the volume?
And connect both phonetically as well as what it represents with the word salem in Tamil for law. And Tamil and Malayalam and Tamil are the sibling languages. Malayalam has come out of the offshoot of in Tamil with a blend of more Sanskrit in it. Then the sari is also very similar to sari. And we all know that R and L sounds, they get interchanged often. Especially you will notice that with the Chinese, the R and the R and L getting frequently replaced in words, in English words. So sari, they all seem to denote the same kind of a garment in English. Now this sari, which was exported from this region, which is today called Jaipur, in France it gets the name Salar, and then in Spanish it becomes Chal, and so on in all European languages, in Italian, German, in Russian too, you find similar sounding words, and finally it morphs into shawl. So the word
shawl.
So the word shawl and the item that we use today as shawl, many of us are known to think that it is an import of a kind of an attire from the west into India, because today we associate the word shawl with a woolen shawl, with something that is for the cold. But actually this word shawl comes from cotton sari, which was and is still worn in Kerala. The traditional attire in Kerala still consists of this upper cloth, which today of course is called by various names. It is called sari, it is called sari, it is called the totem. Different names are there.
River near the area is called Chalia River.
So this itself comes from Chali Arid. Arid means river. So the river that was also because rivers were used for inland navigation. So from the hinterland, these rivers would bring all the products that were woven, all the chalis that would be woven. They will come up to Kozhikode, the Jaipur port, and from there they will go out and get exported. So the river itself got the name Chali Arid, and today is known as Chaliyar. So today, if you say Chaliyar, nobody remembers that with ancient stories of export of saris from here, but that's the river Chaliyar. And what it also tells us is there were a whole lot of villages along the banks of the river and in the future were engaged in this activity of using the saris, and which is why today you find many clans which are also called Sariya,
So look at the beauty, how sailing, how many of you wear a shawl? It's our word, it's our costume. Look at the beauty of how it's all come back to us. So we've seen about cotton, one aspect. There's actually a book called about 100 pages called Cotton India Story, which is available for free read in our website. Please do. Okay? Those who want. It's part of your reading list, those who want to.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you another, or rather I'll just play another film for you, which is another exciting film as well. You will relate to it very well.
And the chakra of the Indian flag, blue. Have you ever wondered why this blue color, also referred to as the indigo color, why is it the brand color of Indian cricket team? Or why is it in the very center of the flag of India? The answer lies in the indigo dye. India ruled the trade of blue dye across the globe, so much so that the color blue was called indigo, meaning that which came from India. An amazing range of shades of blue could be obtained from the blue indigo dye. The dye was extracted from the leaves of the neem plant. The total process, from start to finish, took 10 days, which involved crushing the soluble neem leaf. Then came fermenting and boiling, where the light green color of the fermenting extract turned blackish blue. Beating was another method to add oxygen through heavy and vigorous beating of the fermenting liquid. Then, filtering out the settled indigo tea was to be scrapped and dried and shaped into cakes for easy transporting. Blue dye extraction in India can be traced back to 2000 BCE and before. It was a widely practiced industry all along the continental coast of India, the Gujarat coast, Bihar, and the Gangetic plains, and many other parts of India. The travel of indigo dye to other parts of the world from India is evidenced by pickled fabric in indigo blue found in the Pharaoh's tomb in Fustat near Cairo, Egypt, traded by the Arab traders who called it the ajrak, dyed fabric wrapped around the vase in Harappa dating back to 5,000 years ago. Large clay-dye vats discovered at the ancient trading port of Lutha, references in the Bible to Indian dyes. The continuing tradition of ajrak prints seen in Barmer in Rajasthan, Kutch in Gujarat, Sindh in Pakistan and nearby regions. It also went eastwards to Japan and China from the Coromandel coast and Bengal through Chinese and Okinawa traders. Indigo came to be known as Izone in Japan. The color blue became synonymous with India and to remind us of the rich legacy continues to have a presence in our flag and on our team jersey. The home of knowledge, wisdom and fine craftsmanship for thousands of years. This is amazing India.
So you see how when you have cotton, you need to dye cotton, isn't it? D-Y-E, not D-I-E. Okay, you need to. So what did we use? We were able to make a lot of dyes. We could make blues, reds. But the issue with blue is that nobody else in the world could make it. First, nobody knew how to make cotton, which we gave to the world, shared with the world. Then nobody could make blue. How many of you like blue? Obviously. And blue is a royal color, royal blue. How many have heard the term royal blue? Royal blue, you heard the word, right? Royal blue, you haven't heard the word. Why is it? Because many people couldn't afford it, only royalty could afford it. It's not a royal blue. The problem is, blue they could make it only with some semi-precious gems and some shells, cocktail shells they could make in Europe. That was also not that good quality blue and it stick onto the cloth also well. Whereas we in Bharatam, especially the Coromandel coast and Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh, all that, Sri Lanka, Ilangai, all that, we could make excellent blues. We included Bihar, Champaran. Champaran was all about, the fight is all indigo Neel blue. Okay? What did we call this blue? Neel, Neelam, Neelam, Neel. Do you know of any river in the world called by that name? Internationally famous river?
Nile.
Nile is, I think, Blue Nile. They made the river Nile into Nile. And then he called it Blue Nile. Called Pacha Blue. See, he took the original was blue.
If you go to Cairo, the locals still call it only Nile.
In Cairo, the river is called Nile. Only the Europeans, Anglicans, look at, they changed the name. Because they changed the name, they have to give it called, they call it blue night. Is it funny how all they and we believe all that. That's the sad part of it. Okay, now, how did we, with what did we make blue? With green leaf. With a green leaf, we could make blue. That is what we did here. You saw the process?
So, how much our ancestors, how skilled they would have been, all those people who were making these blue dyes, how much skill they would have had to recognize, see, actually in Tamil it's called avuri chedi. So this avuri chedi actually has got purple flowers. So what would you think? Blue color comes from a purple flower, right? But no, they picked it from the green leaf of that avuri chedi. So in that avuri chedi, they took the green leaf, they crushed it, they took out the juice, and then they put the juice through so many processes, steps, and finally got blue. And different shades of blue they could control and get,
the range
right
of
from the lightest sky blue to what is the darkest shade of blue?
What is it called? Darkest shade of blue. What is it called?
Huh? No, come again.
Darkest shade of blue. Darkest shade of blue.
If you take blue to the darkest, what is the color you will get? Who said that?
Black.
Perfect, black. So,
So
the
what do you call the
darkest
dark black guy?
Karineelam.
Karineelam, Neela Megam. Neela Mega Shama Karna. The
Karineelam.
dark blue guy. That's why I said the dark blue guy. Okay?
So darkest, so black. you
Kala
get-
Megam.
See, black is a color. Dark is different. It is the absence of light. But what is black? You have to, how will you get an absence of light giving you black color? You take dark, blue, darkest color of blue will give you, lead you to black. And on this side sky blue. But how do you control this? This is the skill of that indigo dye person. The people who were engaged in the indigo industry, they knew how to get it from that green colored juice. Imagine the amount of skill. And Europe and all those people, they did not have this leaf, they did not have the skill, they did not have the people to do this kind of labor, not the weather, so they could not make this. So they used to rely only on some small number of the shells and some little bit of gems, but with that they couldn't put it to too much of use. So they had to find a way to make blue. So what did they do? They chemically tried to synthesize blue. And
before she says one point. So what do you call when you make a juice essence of that green leaves to make blue? What do you call that? All of you drink it. Some of you had it, many of you had it for lunch. Rasam. The process of beating and making that rasam, what do you call it? Rasayana, kashayam, rasayanam, kashayam, rasayanam. Okay? And you could, both alkali and acidic form, you could manage it right through beautifully. So, was not every person who could make these colors actually a chemist who excelled not in the form blackboard like chemistry formula podla, but he
BC
actually
chemistry,
did it on,
MSc chemistry illa, but they were doing chemistry of the highest order.
they could make the color they want just by adjusting the alkaline acidity of the rasam. In village after village, across the Coromandel coast and Bihar, up to Champaran, and in the eastern coast of Ilangai. They were never given any award prize, whereas one person, as she says, first time somebody could make blue. This was organic blue you are making. Somebody make it an inorganic blue. First, what did they immediately say? Here, take Nobel Prize. First time somebody they gave him a Nobel Prize for it. Whereas all the people of Bharatam have been making it for millennia together. Practical chemists they were. See here. Look at what it says.
Indigo is a difficult dye to research, and that this research has its origins on the banks of Ganges. Of course, they are relating it to Ganges. at
India,
that point.
Ganges, that's all. But it's all over.
So that is so much. Then the other story is about sugar. We know about spices. We don't know so much that the sugar is also from Bharatam. It is sugar that has influenced the geopolitics of the world. Today's demography of the world, the way it stands, is a lot due to the story of sugar. And it is not a very sweet story. Sugar as a product is sweet, but the story of sugar is not very sweet.
Bitter. Very bitter. The story for sugar is bitter. Very bitter. Unfortunately. Spice, I'll just show you one shot on spice, then she'll explain to you about sugar. See, spice is an English word solrom. And we said Turkey was the one who was conduit between India and Europe. What did Turkey call Indian spice or spice itself? நீங்க வந்து மளிகை கடைன்றீங்க இல்லையா? What is the மளிகை கடை equivalent in Turkey? What is it called? What is the மளிகை கடை in Turkey called? Bharat. Bharat. That which comes from Bharat.
See here.
Whether you make it from Malabar or you make it from Coromandel coast or Konkan coast or Bengal coast or even from the Malacca coast of Kadar and Kedah. It is called Bharat. They call it Bharat because they saw Bharat as one. Even though they had the name Hind, they were used to know the name Hind, they still call spices as. This is a photo that we took. Actually, both of us took this photo in the Grand Bazaar of Turkey. Because when you go to Istanbul, what do you see? They take first thing tourists, they take it to Grand Bazaar. Actually, we took a photo
This
there.
is a Grand Bazaar. It's a full building inside which there are lots of small.
Thousands and thousands of shops, Grand Bazaar. Because it's got a local name, and there are 1,000 Bharat there. Not one Bharat, not one shop. 1,000 shops of Bharat selling spices.
See, his shop's name is here on top and then Bharat. Something Bharat means a spice center.
That's
so
all.
Bharat is not a name, but Bharat is a category. Spice shop, Maligai Kadai. So if you say so and so ABC Maligai Kadai, then it is like ABC Bharat.
That means,
That way.
so they called us Bharat. For all the products that we make, look at that, they are Hind also. So let's put sugar.
So sugarcane has been grown. Where will sugarcane grow? We have a lot of students from agriculture universities. Where will sugarcane grow?
What do you need for sugarcane? Enormous water, isn't it? Because it's a water guzzler. It's quenching for water, isn't it, sugarcane plants? And when you cut the sugarcane piece, what do you call it? Kansari. Okay? I'm sure. So, kandam also, of course, cut piece. So, look at the connect. Now, getting back to the point.
All across India, there are many places from there which are connected with the story of sugar. We'll show you this here, typically.
When you speak the story of Adiyaman, the Sangha Raja, you speak all this, but always in the larger panel, when you speak about all these Nellikan, you always see Karumbu is part of the panel. It's always there. In the story also, it's a very much intrinsic part of our heritage, inheritance, the sugarcane. And what do you call it? Sugarcane? Karumbu, you call it Sarkarai. Why do you call it Sarkarai? And you all go back.
You want me to go in? I'm going.
So you call it Sarkarai. In many Indian languages it's called Sarkarai, Shakara, Sharkar. What does that mean? Granules. It just means granules. It's in the granulated form. So you call it Sharkarai. Let us see how the word has traveled. Let's see how the word has traveled all over the world. It's Shakar. And in Arabia, what do? You add an al to give it an honorific. Like Tirumati, Sri, Mr., Monsieur. So like you add al in Arabic, you get an honorific to it. So it becomes al-sukar. Isn't it? And you see that in Spanish it is azúcar from that. Sucrose, sugar, sugar. So the word that you use today in English, the word sugar, comes from a word sarkarai. How the word has travelled in the tongue that you use and gone across the lands, across centuries. One more slide, please. So that's how it's happened. There is actually a film to the effect you can watch later. So Greeks and Romans, they thought it was a very exotic product from Bharat. So they thought it's a medicine. They started using sugar for medicine. Today sugar is see how they thought. Look at the first how it came about. Use it. So that's how they thought it was, and they thought it's some sweet honey found in the reeds of India. And
It's used only for medical purposes.
it was so exotic. Used it as medicine. That was our product. So they call it sweet salt. So there were sweet salt caravans carrying Indian sugar. Okay, I'm going to ask you another question. What is another term for sugar that we use in colloquially? Chini. Why do you use it chini? In after China, when you are the origin of sugar, why do you use chini? Serious question. So that's one point. I'm not denying what it is. If I show you, I'm going to come to that in 2 minutes. But why do you call chini? Because when the Europeans came here, avangaloda moham for sakkarai was so much. They bought all the sugar in India, took it to Europe for trade. So what do you give the Indians?
The good quality sugar.
Good quality, best quality sugar was taken away to Europe for trading. So what do you give the Indians? You have to give them some sugar, right? Because it's a native product of the land. People want it. Otherwise they'll fight for it. So they imported cheap sugar from China to give it to Indian community. நீ இந்த ரெண்டாவது பொருள் யூஸ் பண்ணு, cheap பொருள் யூஸ் பண்ணாங்க, China sugar, cheap sugar. I use the cheap product, superior product, I'll take it with me to Europe. So, what did they call it in Hindi? They call it chini kam. Actually, film, Amitabh Bachchan film itself called chini kam. Some 50 years. That is the kammiyana vastu chini, so chini kam. So, what is yamathirka? 200-300 வருஷமா அவனுக்கு வந்து cheap பொருள் அவனுக்கு தெரியும். He is giving you a cheaper product to handle your taste, taking a superior product for his marketing. Look how all they played with you. And we have become gullible to it. Sadly. See that here. So it's all there in the book. We actually written a full chapter, a full book called Sugar. You can please read that there. Which one?
No, I want to say no, I want to diamond. Diamond.
I'll show you one more product. I'll show one more product. How many of you boys and girls, your parents, grandparents have used diamond? You see, I can see 1 or 2 hands going up. Diamonds, I think I see more girls' hands going up than boys' hands. Diamond. So, diamond. If I tell you, diamond is a Indian product. They did not diamonds in Europe at all. They did not know about diamonds till 400 years ago. Diamond was something that India gave to the world. Till 1700, in South Africa, they found out diamonds. Till then, diamonds was given to them only by India. They did not know diamonds. And what do you call how did you get the word diamond? See, diamond is a Greek word.
And you know what the Greeks call, the word, English word diamond comes from the Greek word adamos, which means that which is indestructible, that which is very hard, which is not destroyable. And you know where we would get diamonds in India? They were all found by the Krishna river. Okay, near at Golconda, forest, I mean Golconda, near the
Mines.
Golconda fort,
Hyderabad
Golconda
defense.
mines. That is there are only two places in India where they would get diamonds. One is Golconda, the other was Panna in the north. Now, this Golconda was the best. I mean, we are telling you in very, very short. Actually, it's a beautiful story, but because we have to tell you so many aspects and the short 2 days is not enough to talk about this Ore Bharatam. It's a big Mahabharatam in a way. So, I'm telling you very briefly, the Golconda diamonds are the best in the world even today. The best pure diamonds today in the diamond industry, they do not call it diamond. You know what they'll say? Oh, this is a Golconda. Golconda means the best diamond.
Even today, if you look at a diamond and the person says a Golconda, it means Ada Uhunda diamond. Ulagatliye. Here in Belgium, that's what they say.
And
Purest diamond.
this Krishna river by which they were getting the diamonds, you know what the Greeks called Krishna river? They did not call it Krishna river. What did they call it? Adamos river. River Adamos. Because they were getting diamonds from that Adamos river. Now, I want to ask you, this Adamos, here is something that you will see a very, very nice, beautiful connect, okay? Language-wise. Adamos in Greek, they are saying means indestructible, and from there you get diamond. Now, in Tamil, what do you say for somebody who is very firm and rock solid? Adam pidikada, Adam. Adamma irkena, Adam, right? Adam in Tamil means this, right? Something which is
Solid,
firm and strong.
stubborn.
And even in North, in Hindi, if there is a person who is very firm and who is very resolved, you know what they say? They say ad ke rehna. Ad means to be firm, resolute, to be firm, ad. So this word ad, you can also means in that language also means this, in Tamil Adam, in Greek Adamos, and from that you get diamond.
Look
Isn't
at
it
the
beautiful? Look at the connect.
The
See,
English
these
word diamond
are
is a root
things we
here.
have to relish, we have to wonder. See, nobody can give a conclusive answer for these kind of questions at all. Please don't look for these kind of, you will never find a conclusive answer. Our job is to be Bharata, meaning to relish the knowledge that there is a beautiful connect, enjoy the connect, live with the connect, use the connect to all our benefits.
Share
That is what we have to do. Nobody can ever answer these questions. It's so old, so much in the past. But the beauty lies that everything is connected beautifully in this world.
I'll tell you one story. In Madras, actually just down the road, there's a hotel there. We gave a talk on diamonds to a particular audience. Now one of the ladies, obviously very rich lady, she came up to me at the end of the talk and said, she showed her hand and said, "D.K., I have a Golconda." That's what she said, I have a Golconda. She said, I have a diamond. Diamond le roba osti diamond Golconda. And these were some of the best, of course, all of you heard of Kohinoor Dam, but you know, in Tamilagam, there were lot of diamonds which were stolen and taken away by the British and French. We'll just show you 3 examples.
See, even in 1300, Marco Polo is saying, the refuse of the finer stone is going to Europe. So all the good ones are being used inside Bharatam, and all the refuse, the waste of the mines, they are all being exported to other lands.
So look at that. So that is what this is our product. In our Vajram, Mari, Vairam, strong, Adam.
Vajram, Vairam.
I'll just show you 3 examples from Tamilagam for us. Because all of us speak about Kohinoor. Kohinoor is good, great diamond, no doubt about it. It is from Telangana region originally, taken from Punjab finally, but you look at 3. Actually, Pondicherry Pakatla, it's so this is an Orlov diamond, and it's there now in the London Natural Museum. Obviously, you know, many things from the London Natural Museum are taken from different parts of the world. I'm sure enough of you have seen this. I'll show you one thing. So many people have, it's become a curse because it's taken, they have all met very unfortunate ends. So list is there, all that we're going to do it. Okay, and explain that it was a diamond stolen from a shrine near Pondicherry. Okay, we'll show you next slide, please. Look at this. It was taken from here. Irumbai. விழுப்புரமுக்கு பாண்டிச்சேரிக்கு நடுவில் அங்கே ஒரு கோவிலுக்கு அங்கே போயிருந்தோம். ஆக்சுவலி 4 மாதம் கோவிலுக்கு அந்த சிவலிங்கமே பிளவுபட்டு உடைச்சிருக்காங்க. Because it was all embedded in the சிவலிங்கம். So that break open the சிவலிங்கம். Today வந்து ஒரு வெள்ளி தட்டால அந்த சிவலிங்கமை கட்டி வச்சிருக்காங்க. அந்த கோவில் இரும்பை கோவில் அங்கிருந்து உடைச்சி எடுத்து போனப்பட்ட டைமண்ட் அது by a French. பாருங்க வந்து நம்ம சூறையாடி இருக்காங்க. This is our product. Look at that. This diamond is called Arcots. Look at the diamond. You only think of Kohinoor, Tirupati. No. Look at the diamond. It comes from Arcot. And there is another Orloff. This is Tiruchila, Srirangamla, Kovil of the diamond. So repositories. It went to the Empress Catherine of Russia. So, எப்படி வந்து கொஹினூர் அங்க அந்த ராணி கிட்ட இருக்க மாதிரி இதுல இங்கிலாந்துல லண்டன்ல இங்க வந்து இது is the sepulcher of scepter of is there in the diamond treasury in Russia, in Moscow. Look at that. So you have diamonds. You have something called Nazak, basically from Nasik. You have a diamond called Ahmedabad. Look at this. Warren Hastings, he took it from the Peshwa. Look at the spellings are not bad spelling. The spelling assisted by them. So look at this, how they took it. This is the eye. அங்க இருக்க கோவில்ல இருந்தது சிவன் கண்ணில் வச்சிருந்தோம். ஒரு ஊர்ல தரியானூர், ஹோப் டைமண்ட், ஆக்ரா, அக்பர் ஷா. Look at the number of diamonds. Dresden Green, Eugene. All these diamonds have been all taken from different parts of Bharat and taken from not one diamond. When we claim, we should not claim only one Kohinoor. We don't have space to fill up. Thousands of diamonds of the world have all been taken from Bharat to different parts of the world, and they've all been. So, actually, we went to a conference in Delhi less than a month back, where every country spoke about its brand. The conference was only about brands. A nation has a brand. We also were invited to speak about India as a brand. The focus was not Bharat, the focus was on India. Because that is a different type of conference we spoke about.
So, all of these...
France, they spoke, which is their brand? They spoke about their brand as diamonds and fragrance. And fragrance, what is the best fragrance that they have? Oud and agar. Agar comes from our agarbatti. Agar wood is our product. Then not the product of the oud is again our product. Oudvati, our product. OUD, oud, our French product, a French perfume, high-end perfume, agar.
Oud is the base for all perfumes today, and oud vandu Versace they've got branded. It's the highest, most costly perfume. Oud.
200 francs,
and
500
that is
euros.
from oud namakku. It is from a tree which is called agar tree in we have called it as oud, and the word oud vatti. So அந்த ஊத வந்து எடுத்து அந்த மரத்துல இருந்து எடுத்து அது வாசனையான பொருள் அது மரத்துல வந்து you have to, when an injured tree is there, it will give out that resin, and then if you take that you get that is what is used as oud.
So
it's called agar or oud, both are same.
So what does it say that if you do not own your products, some places already owned it. They are saying diamond. I only said Jean-Baptiste Tavernier came to the courts of India 6 times, right from Golconda to Tamil to North Shah Jahan Court, everything, and took diamond and introduced to Louis Francis in Europe and French, and then diamonds became popular there. Jean-Baptiste Tavernier. So otherwise, Europe would not have got diamonds. Like a film is so, but if you see, one, we have to know it. 2, you have to, only if you know you can claim it. Then what must you do? You must flaunt it. Endun சொல்லிக்கணும். உங்களுக்கு சொல்லிக்கலன்னா என்ன பண்ணுவீங்க? நான் மறந்து போயிடுவோம். நம்மளுக்கு முதல்ல தெரியல, நம்மளுக்கு ஞானம் இல்லை, தெரிஞ்சுக்கிறதுக்கு நம்மளுக்கு வந்து நம்மளுக்கு சொல்லி தரல. அன்பார்ச்சுனேட்லி தெரிஞ்சுக்கிறதுக்கு தெரிஞ்சுதான் சொன்னா கொண்டாட முடியும். இப்போ இது சொத்து இருக்கு உங்களுக்கு, இது உங்க சொத்துனே தெரியல, அப்ப வேற யாரை பார்த்துக்க போறோம்? நீங்க பத்திரம் வச்சுக்கணும், டாக்குமெண்ட் வச்சுக்கணும், சாசனம் வச்சுக்கணும், அப்பதான் உங்களுக்கு சொத்து இல்லையா? வேற எவ்வளவு உட்காந்துட்டு போறோம் வச்சுட்டு எந்த சொத்து, திஸ் ப்ராப்பர்ட்டி பிலாங்ஸ் டு சோ அண்ட் சோ, நோ ட்ரெஸ்பாசர்ஸ் அலவுட் சொல்லணும். இல்ல வேற உட்காந்துருவான், டென்ட் போட்டுருவோம், டேரா போட்டுருவோம்.
So till 1650s, you see, in Europe, diamond was only 18th in importance. The first place was for pearls. And this Jean-Baptiste Tavernier, he comes to India, he is a French jeweler, 6 times he comes, he takes back diamonds and he makes jewelry for Louis the 14th.
பாருங்க
And
அவங்க
he
நம்பர் பாருங்க.
sets the trend.
In manner, you can't multiplication system only, we gave numbers also, that's a different topic. அதுவும் film இருக்கு பாருங்க. So, and who says this? Pliny writes in his book, Historis Naturalis, that we gave diamond, it's called Adam. Adamas, Indian Adamas. So all the diamonds, it is said by the Adamas river. So, you have to own all the big five. What are it? Cotton, who gave to the world? They'll say, you got beautiful. Blue color, நம்மளுது. Sugar, நம்மளுது. எல்லாம் நம்ம கொடுத்துருக்கோம். Spices, நம்மளுது. எல்லாம் நம்ம. Steel, zinc. People talk about bronze age. How can bronze age come without these basic metals?
What is bronze made of? How do you get bronze? The chemistry department students, how do you get bronze? Two major. What is bronze first? Is it a metal? Alloy, right? Alloy. Alloy ki Tamil enna word is? Logam, but kalam. Kalavai. Kalavai means mix, right? Kalavai, kalam. And what is the best kalavai? Best kalam? Vengalam. Venkalam. Venkalam. What is ven? White. What metal is white? What metal is white? Tin. Tin. And where is tin available? Even today, most of the tin resources, you know where they are available? Southeast Asia.
Malaysia.
Malaysia,
Tin
Thailand,
abounds there.
Vietnam, and the belt lada, tin is available. It was available then, it is available now. And what do you need to make bronze? Tin and copper. Tin and copper go together to make bronze. And where was the copper? In India, right? Now, is it enough if you have just tin and copper? You need the best technique to make them
Alloy.
blend and become a alloy. And that was the contribution that India made. So, Bharatamla, the technique of making alloys was perfected. There is copper in the world. There was tin in other parts of the world. But the technique of making the best alloys was from Bharatam. And this is why, if you had a silk route, what many people, the world does not talk about today, till today, is the existence of another route called the tin route, which was almost parallel to the silk route, but it was predominantly half land, half sea. So, this tin route
from Malaya, it came Kadaram Kedda, Kadaram Kondan, Rajendra Solan. And the Malakka, all the people, it came to
Haifa
South India, and from here it was made into an alloy. And from alloy it went through India all the way up to Haifa. Haifa, again the eastern coast of Mediterranean, from where it was sold. So, look at the eastern coast of Mediterranean. You had one place called Damascus, specialized in Damascus steel. Another place, Byblos, which specialized in language. Another place which specialized in tin.
all of this
all
over
on
here,
east
this
coast
belt,
of Egypt,
in
east coast of the Mediterranean.
In the part was the place where all the products from India, Bharatam would land. So tin went to up to Haifa in Israel. So Israel, people said, if you capture Haifa, then you have almost captured Israel. That was the notion.
Who liberated Haifa and gave it to Israel from the Ottoman Empire, Usmanli Empire? Any idea? Indian soldiers captured it and gave it for Israel. Know that? From Mysore, Hyderabad, Rajputana, other places, the soldiers they captured and gave Haifa. Ini kuda adha Haifa link pathina. Haifa so much importance to India because otherwise there was no Haifa. Haifa control Israel control because we are trading there. Look at that. How many of you know a place called Teen Murti Bhavan in Delhi? Teen Murti Bhavan, Teen Murti statue. Unga மூணு பேர் தெரிஞ்சு ஒரு பேர் வேற யாருக்கு? Check it out. மூணு சிப்பாய் statue இருக்கும் டெல்லியில.
As you all grow up, once you finish your college and start getting into your professions, each of you will start traveling. And I'm sure many of you will be taken on your work to Delhi. There is a place called the Teen Murti Bhavan which has 3 statues there.
Jawaharlal Nehru, முதல் பிரைம் மினிஸ்டர் வீட்டு வாசல்ல அது இருக்கும் தீன் மூர்த்தி சர்க்கிள். மூணு மூர்த்தி. யார் அந்த மூணு மூர்த்தி? ஒரு மைசூர் சிப்பாய், ஒரு ஹைதராபாத் சிப்பாய், ஒரு ராஜ்புத்தானா சிப்பாய். மூணு பேர் ஏன்னா அவங்க மூணு பேர் தான் அந்த 3 ரெஜிமெண்ட் தான் ஹைஃபால சண்டை போட்டு ஹைஃபாவை விடுவிச்சு கொடுத்தாங்க during World War I.
Okay? India, Israel.
So Indian soldiers fought and gave Haifa because we had a connect with Haifa. Look at this. Eppilam connect with pathina nambalukku. So ஒரே பாரதம், உன்னத பாரதம், we have traveled all over the world. Ship everything connecting to everybody. Look at this Haifa. So, Indian soldiers entry. பாருங்க இதுல ஒரு முக்கியமான பாயிண்ட் ஹைஃபா என்ன தெரியுமா? ஒரு please put Haifa slide. One more minute. Haifa slide காட்டுறானு. You know what Haifa? You know how we fought the war? Haifa, the lancers from Indian army fought the war in World War I at Haifa. தீன்மூர்த்தி படம் இருப்பாருங்க ஸ்டாச்சு இருப்பாரு. மவுண்ட் கேரமல்ல இருந்து தேவர் பீரங்கியால் அடிச்சிருந்தாங்க டவுன் பிலோ. நம்ம சோல்ஜர்ஸ் கத்தி கபடா வச்சுட்டு சண்டை போட்டு பீரங்கியால டிஃபீட் பண்ணிட்டான். ஸோ ஸ்லோகன் என்ன தெரியுமா? இதுக்கு முன்ன எப்பவும் இல்லை, இதுக்கு பின்ன எப்பவும் முடியவே முடியாது. அது அவங்க இஸ்ரேல் மின்னியும் இல்லை பின்னியும் இல்லை அந்த மாதிரி இந்தியன் சோல்ஜர் சண்டை போட்டு just with knives and spears. That's what they had, and with that they fought and defeated Birangi and won Haifa. And that's the bravery of our soldiers, Bharatham soldiers. That's why Israel was.
Now we will show you, since we are talking about trade, we have seen all these products, all this trade. Look at this which unites the whole of Bharatam.
Last slide. See, நம்ம வந்து என்ன சொல்லணும்? ஏக் பாரத் ஸ்ரேஷ்ட பாரத் இருக்கோம். ஸ்ரேஷ்ட அர்த்தம் உன்னதமானது இல்லையா? இந்த ஸ்ரேஷ்ட வார்த்தை நமக்கு ரிக்வேத டைம்ல ஹரப்பா மோஞ்சோதல இருக்கு. அங்க இருந்து இருக்கு ஸ்ரேஷ்ட சேதி செத்.
So ஸ்ரேணிங்கற வார்த்தை is defined as trade guild னு நம்ம ஜாதின்னு பார்த்தோம் இல்லையா? அவங்க சேலை பண்றதுல எவ்வளவு ஜாதி இருந்தாங்க அந்த சாலியார் ரிவர்ல. So many people who were engaged in trade guilds. Every jati is a guild, trade guild.
That's all it means. That's the trade guild.
So they were called. So the word for them is Shreni in the north.
Groups.
And Shreni lende you have word like Shrestha. Shrestha means one who is very great, very eminent, very noble. And Shrestha unnor artha enna solranganakku? Shrestha also means one who is very dependable, who is reliable, whose words you can rely on, who is to be honored, who is so truthful. So the traders of Bharatam were truthful, honest people on whom you could rely. The artisans and the traders of Bharatam were people you could rely. Inniki if you talk about trade, you will say, oh trader na nambadhenbo.
ஏமாத்துவான் இல்ல. பாரத தேடர் தான் நம்பிக்கை உடையவன். அவன் ஒழுங்கா தான் நல்ல பேச்சு பேசுவான், ஒழுங்கா வைப்பான், அவன் உரிய லாபம் எடுத்துப்பான். ஆனா ஒழுங்கா இருக்கும், பேச்சு ஒழுங்கா இருக்கும், அவன் செயல் ஒழுங்கா, அவன் கொடுத்த பொருள் ஒழுங்கா இருக்கும். That is what we call it Shrestha, Shreni. அதுதான் வந்து பாருங்க. Look at how the word has come across India.
So
the word across 5,000 years.
You have Set, you have Seti, Shroff, Set, Shresti, Siti, Setha, Shresti, Seti, Chetti, Setti, Chetti, Chetti, Settiti, Chettiyar, Chettu, Setti, Siletar, Situ.
Including Ilangai.
Every connection, see, across Bharatam, this other aspect is uniting all of us. That we have engaged in industry, we have engaged in trade, and we have been honest traders, we have been honest artisans, we have been skillful artisans, and it is all of this which brought prosperity. If Bharatam has been prosperous, it is because of these artisans and these traders
who took it every village, everywhere. So they were honest about it. Nambikkai udiyargal.
So we will just end with this movie, small movie here. We will just see this and end with this today's session.
தமிழ் பண்பாடு, கலைத்திறன், மொழிவளம், இலக்கிய நயம் இவையெல்லாம் எல்லையற்ற பிரசித்தி பெற்றது. இவைகளுக்கெல்லாம் முழு காரணம் என்னவென்று பார்க்கலாம்.
1000 ஆண்டுகளாக இருந்த மண்வளமும் பொன்வளமும் இவற்றை ஊட்டி வளர்த்தனர்.
இந்த வளமையின் ரகசியம் என்னவென்று பார்த்தால் ஈரற்ற தொழில் சிறப்பும் திறமையும் கிராமிய நலமும் தான்.
தமிழகத்தில் கிராம ஆத்திரம் மற்ற பொருட்களில் வாழ்க்கையிட்ட வெகுப்பற்றைகள் இருந்தன.
தமிழ்நாட்டிலிருந்து உலக நாடுகளுக்கு மிகப்பெரிய அளவில் ஏற்றுமதி செய்யும் பொருளாக இரும்பு விளங்கியது. வெளிநாடுகளில் இதனை உட்ஸ் ஸ்டீல் என அழைத்தனர். இது உருக்கு எனும் தமிழ் சொல்லிலிருந்துதான் வந்தது. இதனை உற்பத்தி செய்த மிக பழமையான 8 பட்டறை ஒன்றை கூடுமணல் ஈரோடு இப்பொழுது கண்டுபிடித்திருக்கிறார்.
ஜிங்க் செய்யும் தொழில்நுட்பத்தை உலகத்துக்கு கற்றுக் கொடுத்ததே தமிழ்நாடு.
துத்தநாகம் என்ற பெயரில் ஜிங்க் தமிழகத்தின் ஒவ்வொரு கிராமத்திலும் உற்பத்தி செய்யப்பட்டது. இதை பொது ஆண்டு 1550 சீனர்கள் அதை துதாமு துத்தநாக் என்று பெயரிட்டு பின்னர் இந்த தொழில்நுட்பம் கட்டி என்ற மறுபெயரில் ஐரோப்பிய நாடுகளுக்கு பரவியது.
இது மட்டுமா, இண்டிகோ எனும் நீல சாயம் தயாரிக்கும் ரசாயன தொழிலும் வல்லவராக இருந்தார்கள்.
அவுரி செடியிலிருந்து இண்டிகோ எனும் நீல சாயத்தை நுட்பமான ரசாயன முறையில் பிரித்தெடுத்து அவற்றை வில்லைகளாக தம் நாடுகளுக்கு ஏற்றுமதியும் செய்தது நாம் தமிழர்கள். இதற்கு முன் உலகில் எங்குமே காணப்படாத ஒன்று இந்த ரசாயன முறை. 1902 தான் ஜெர்மனியில் பால் பாயர் என்பவருக்கு முதன்முறையாக இம்முறையை கண்டுபிடிப்பதற்கு நோபல் பரிசு அளிக்கப்பட்டது.
4000 ஆண்டுகளாக தமிழகத்தில் கிராமம் கிராமமாக சாயப்பற்றையும் இந்த நுட்பமான தொழிலை கையாண்ட சாதாரண மக்களுக்கு யாரும் எதிர்ப்பு அளிக்கவில்லை.
இதுபோல் எண்ணற்ற தொழில் சாதனைகளுக்கு தமிழகத்தில் திறமையினர்.
இந்த பொருட்களையும் இவ்வழிய நுட்பங்களையும் ஏற்றுமதி செய்ய அவர்களுக்கு கப்பல் தேவையாக இருக்க வேண்டும்.
தமிழில் கப்பலை நாவாய் என அழைத்தனர். நீவி நேவிகேஷன் எனும் ஆங்கில வார்த்தைகளும் நோவா கப்பல் என பைபிளில் கூறப்பட்டதும் நாவா எனும் வேர் சொல்லிலிருந்து வந்திருக்கக்கூடும். அதேபோல் அரிசி என்பதை ஹீப்ரூவில் ரிசா என்றும் ஆங்கிலத்தில் ரைஸ் என்றும் மறைவு வந்திருக்கின்றது. தூத்துக்குடி முத்துக்கள் ஐரோப்பா சென்று பொற்காசுகளை தமிழ்நாட்டில் குவித்தனர்.
இத்தனை தொழில்களுக்கும் விவசாயத்திற்கும் அடிப்படை தேவை நீர். ஆனால் இன்று எங்கு பார்த்தாலும் தமிழகத்தில் நீர் பற்றாக்குறை. நதிகளிலும் நீர் இல்லை, ஏரிகளோ வற்றி கிடக்கின்றன, குளத்திலோ வறண்டு கிடக்கின்றன. அப்பொழுது தமிழகம் எப்படி செழிப்பாக இருக்க முடியும்?
பல்லவர்கள் ஆண்ட காலகட்டத்தில் தமிழகத்தின் நில அமைப்பை அவர்கள் சரியாக புரிந்து வைத்திருந்ததை அறியலாம். மேற்கு உள்ள மேற்கு புரட்சிகள் கிழக்கே உள்ள நம்பிக்கடலை நோக்கி சரிவாக அமைந்துள்ளது. இதை புரிந்து கொண்டுதான் அக்காலத்தில் ஏரிகளை அமைத்தனர். அனைத்து ஏரிகளும் ஒன்றோடு ஒன்று கால்வாய்கள் மூலம் இணைக்கப்பட்டிருந்தன. தமிழகத்தில்